And we'll say that's good. Hey, everybody. Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 7, Unification III is over. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews. And I'm joined with two great co-hosts to talk about this episode and break it all down. And what an episode it was. First, we'll introduce Michael Chan. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk about this.
Same here.
And we also have Adam Woodward. How you doing, Adam?
Hey, Dave. Hey, Michael. I'm good. How are you guys?
Wearing his disco T-shirt. So,
I knew I should have worn mine.
And we just got to get right into this. It is November 26, 2020. It is American Thanksgiving today. And Vulcans and Romulans living together, cats and dogs, mass hysteria. It was crazy. The whole planet of Vulcan is not even the planet of Vulcan anymore. It's the planet of Navarre. We got Tilly here tonight as the new first officer of the Discovery.
Who called that?
What a promotion. We got a lot to talk about. Yes?
Oh, I'm saying I called it. I'm answering.
You called it. You did call it. And I think it was your instincts were very good on this, Michael. We also have the return of Michael Burnham's mother, Gabrielle Burnham. She's now in the Quat Malat. If you've seen Star Trek Picard, the Quat Malat was in the whole hopeless cause thing, a big thing there. We what else are the big? And then we also have I guess the Burnham and Book romance continuation here tonight. So there's a lot to talk about. A lot happened again. So where do we start?
Can their ship name be Burn Book?
The book burn or no?
Burn Book. Like in what movie is that where that character had the burn book? Never mind. Is it Mean Girls? Mean Girls, right?
Perhaps.
Jaemeel, are you there in the comments? Is it Mean Girls that has the burn book? If you're watching, answer.
I don't know, Jaemeel. I'll see if I'll let you know if he pops up here in the comments, and I will share that. But okay. But Michael, did you like tonight's episode?
Yes, it is as delicious as the Lindt chocolates from Swiss Chalet that I'm eating right now.
As delicious as like hazelnut or more like milk chocolate? Which where would you put tonight's episode?
See, it's smooth like the milk chocolate, but I like hazelnut more, so I'll say hazelnut.
All right, that's well, I'm not necessarily a hazelnut guy, so maybe that I don't know how to,
like Nutella
take
too,
that.
So.
Yeah. All right, and Adam. Okay, there's a whole bunch to unpack here. I guess just for like, what's your initial reaction?
That episode was fantastic. Like again.
Yep.
Is this number 6?
7.
7. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have not been disappointed. And
yeah,
okay. I have one disappointment in this whole episode. That's okay. We'll talk to that later. We're good though. It was a great episode again. Looked amazing again. Storyline was great, and it went places I didn't see it happening. So. Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things. My first note here was just on the previously on Discovery as we were heading into that tonight. We saw here that Stamets now puts his hands in the goo when the spore drive activates, and then we saw that actually come into fruition tonight. I guess I'm still struggling with Stamets' place on this show, but maybe if I got a little nitpick, but. I guess he had a couple of good moments tonight, but this was really a Michael Burnham episode through and through. They gave her a ton of drama and big speeches tonight and a lot to do. And it's been this continuing arc of, do I still belong in Starfleet? Does Discovery still my home? We saw she just got demoted in this last episode, so we're dealing with the fallout of that. And that's really sort of like I think the crux of the episode.
I feel that this episode especially continues the trend of this season of pushing the story forward every single episode, not letting the arc go stale or take too long to move forward. And like last week, we were talking about, her insubordination and her belonging and all that. And we were like, oh, where's this going? Well, guess what? This episode dealt with everything.
Very true. Like, good point. And I still feel like this episode here in 7 stands alone. Like, you could watch this episode in a vacuum and I think enjoy it and not really have to know what the greater arc of the season is per se. I think, maybe it would certainly help. But Adam, would you agree that like this episode would have rewatchability just, having come off the first viewing tonight?
Well, it airs tomorrow at 9 p.m. on Crave. I'll be watching.
You'll be watching again, okay?
Yeah, there's too much happened. I need to see it again. It was a Michael Burnham episode, but it needed, and Michael's right again. It had to happen that way. It had to close some doors. It had to open doors, and we got answers fast. And, this is the coolest thing about this season is that we're not waiting. We're not dragging the inevitable over three episodes to get to an ending or a planet or whatever's happening. It's good. It's intense. It's fast, and we get answers. So like that.
Yeah, and there's some great, I'd say, courtroom drama here tonight. We got in like this whole quorum science thing that Michael Burnham was able to use her Vulcan heritage, I suppose.
Do you remember when I mentioned, I was like, when are they going to get to the diplomacy in semicircles? We're here.
There you go. Hey, I like it. This, they know what the Star Trek fans want, or at least some of us. And,
Dave, can I just pass on my one aggravation with this episode?
Sure.
Because it happened at the beginning. So Saru takes Tilly aside and offers her the job, the big chair, and she doesn't say yes. Like, what kind of Starfleet officer doesn't want to be promoted to that rank? Like, immediately.
One who's honest about herself.
Oh, Michael.
She's very true to herself.
Come on, it's who she is. I understand what you mean. I get what you mean.
I get who she is, but it just seems so. You want to be first officer. Yes, I'm there. Get me in that chair. Now, I guess that's what makes her charming and everything. But for some reason, Tilly's been a little bit of a bee in my bonnet the last couple of weeks, and I don't know. I like her, but
Yeah, I think I kind of see where you're coming from. I felt like, well, the fact that she didn't say yes right away maybe is an indication, like maybe you're not ready for this yet. But at the same time, I do see the potential in her. I think I understand why she's been chosen here, and it's nice that the whole crew even embraced it. But you'd like to see her at least promoted up.
They didn't need that storyline this episode. They could have made her first officer, and that would have been that. But it was cute. It was cute.
Right.
I felt it was needed in the sense that allowed us to see that the others do accept her taking that position. Now, I do need to point out that he did say that she's acting first officer until he finds a permanent one, whatever that means.
Well, what does that mean exactly? Like, is he going to pick someone else from the crew? Is he going to bring in an outsider? What's really the play here? I guess that they also really didn't know long term. Is Michael Burnham staying? Is also kind of the theme of this episode. Is she even going to stay as the science officer on the ship long term, or is she going to kind of go off with Book and live this other life? Because I think that the romance, the kind of the moments they have, I think they have definite chemistry. These two, I definitely see. You could say that the episode was book-ended with Book. There in the little bedroom on the ship, looking out the shuttle bay, where that seems to be their new digs. So she, Tilly gets the room to herself most of the time because that seems to be the new arrangement. Although that ship's taking up a lot of room in the shuttle bay. But Michael, are you enjoying the relationship with Book and Michael Burnham?
Yeah, I am. I mean, the actors have good chemistry. The way they've written the relationship is nice. It's not, how like sometimes when characters get together, then the writers don't know what to do with them. And if it gets all weird and it either like dominates the story or they just like throw it off to the side as if it doesn't exist, even though, there's still a couple. I found that so far, at least in one and a bit episodes, they've been able to keep it prominent without having it dominate. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Adam, any thoughts on that?
I agree. He's a strong character, but he's not overbearing. And in the episodes that he has been in were great. I like the character. I like the introduction to him, but he's sort of taking a back seat right now. But he's still important, and she needs somewhere to go at the end of the day, and she's got somewhere now. And I think that this is a really nice tie-in. Interesting to see whether he's going to stay, but it's a nice backdrop story for her. At the end of the day, something different than just the main plot going on.
Well, yeah, I just think that this is those two. She seems happy. I'm happy for you, Michael Burnham. You're always so sad. You're always, even in this episode, you were pretty sad, even though, book makes you so happy, and the cat and all that. But I think we have to get to sort of the other big thing here, which is the title of this episode is Unification III, as in the third part of the Unification storyline, which was in the Star Trek: The Next Generation when Commander Spock, or Ambassador Spock, I'm sorry, was Leonard Nimoy's appearance on that series, which was all about bringing the Vulcans and the Romulans together, and that's what's happened. They did it, Adam. They're back together. And they've renamed the planet, and they're out of the Federation, by the way. And they hate the Federation. They're like, screw you. You're a bunch of jerks over there in the Federation, and they said, well, I bet it was the Romulans who made them leave, and they're like, no, it was the Vulcans. The Romulans wanted to stay. What did you make of all that?
Okay, number one, it's always a treat to see Spock, like the original Spock, Leonard Nimoy, in anything, and there he was, and I love the flashback to Next Gen. That was one of my favorite two-parters. Back whenever that aired. Still is.
Like 1991 or something like that.
Yeah, but it was so great, and it's still so great. And the fact they tied that actual storyline into this, and they didn't even, again, it was a minute of the whole storyline, but just a nice treat tonight to see Leonard Nimoy up there saying those lines, and even excuse me, the flashback to young Spock was fine. It was quick. I thought of you, Dave, actually. Oh boy. And then it was only a second. Yeah. It didn't last too long. But I loved that tie-in. They didn't need to do it. They didn't need to, they could have said they reunified, but they didn't have to bring Spock into it. But it was a great, great way to do it. Great clip they used. And I am thrilled. And now whether they left whoever left the Federation, it's been 1,000 years. Like, things can happen.
Right.
No nation lasts 1,000 years, so we'll see what happens.
But remember, the Vulcan and Romulan lifespan is like 3 centuries, so it's not.
You're talking 3 generations out of 1,000 years, right? Yeah,
right. Less than it would be for humans. That's all.
Correct.
Things just move a bit slower from that standpoint. Michael, how did you feel about all this revelation tonight and seeing where the Vulcans and Romulans are at?
It was. I felt the writers did a good job in that. The expectations that people would have in terms of how things went down. I'm glad they just said, you know what, screw your stereotypes. You think it's the Romulans? No, it's the Vulcans, And I like that. I like that they're like, no, it's not what you think. It's totally different. And the things that were different were actually made sense and actually played very well in the rest of the episode. I was happy with it.
Yeah, and I also have to just say, I felt like they did a lot of fan service tonight. Yes, it's great. It paid off that this whole storyline that Leonard Nimoy was a big part of, and the whole Vulcan Romulan reunification, and the whole the two sides of the coin between the Vulcans and the Romulans, and seeing that has paid off 1,000 years later, I think was immense. For me, I was like, wow, just to see them say, yes, that's how it's all going to play out. And it also has just these long-term ramifications, because we're still watching shows like Star Trek Picard, and they're making stuff that's set 800 years before any of this stuff. So we know where things are going to go, despite where that stuff is going to have to live in. So now the Picard the characters, they're kind of in a similar position as the William Shatner characters were when like Next Generation came along, which was set like 70 years after their events. So like we're in your future, and in our future, Klingons and the Federation are friends, but back still in your movie, this movie poster behind me, you have a whole other like, no, Klingons and the Federation are not friends at this particular time in history, and we're telling a very different story in this time period. And I guess I'm rambling here, but I'm just saying it's kind of fun on how that's all going to play out. We also have Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, and I don't know. It's an exciting time, I guess, to be a Star Trek fan, because there's just so much to kind of take in from it. Got a comment here. Mike O'Connor says, again, Disco using canon to chart a new course. Yeah, like I'm all for it. Now I got some nitpicks. I'm gonna get into the nitpicks. You know, like, okay, yeah, like I don't love the new Ethan Peck Spock. Not my favorite. He's much better with the beard, by the way. But the other thing too was just like, okay, like the one thing Michael Burnham said tonight was that Spock loved the Federation, and so you know, I feel like that's a mischaracterization. I think Spock, as I know him, and Adam, we watched the original series, rewatch every week, right? And I see this depiction that as Leonard Nimoy originally intended the character, and he was logical. He was so committed to this Vulcan doctrine. And I feel like the Michael Burnham characterization and writing, this episode was written by Kirsten Bayer, who I think does some good jobs, but this retconning of sort of who Spock was and this inner person, does it bug you or no? Like,
I can see your point and why it would bother you. They did, like, how did they know each other? I mean, there wasn't a lot of history there to me. Like in the first two seasons, pardon me. I mean, it was like they just met up again after years of separation,
right?
And so I can see how that would bother, because I don't know if she knows Spock, young Spock. You know, she knows the boy because they grew up as kids, but I don't think they know, like, just reflecting on my own life. I mean, my own sister, I didn't know her as an adult until we were almost 40. Like it's a very different, you don't spend enough time together. You don't spend enough time learning that person. It takes years and years. And I just don't believe she knew him. And, you know, it's nice to speak about him, but you could see that even then the whole Vulcan crowd was sort of like not fooled. Like, you know, come on, get on with it. So yeah, I get where you're coming from, Dave. I can see that annoyance that you have there. It's a little bit of agitation for sure.
I would like to point out that was before she was honest with herself.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
So here's, yeah, exactly. So how much of what she is, like what she's saying, is her placing her feelings onto it versus what the reality was?
Yeah.
Right, which I think ties maybe into this dialogue we also get tonight from Michael Burnham's mother, as now a member of the Quat Malat, who says, you know, well, she may have grew up here on Vulcan, and she might be, but you know, or Navarre as it's now known, but she's human through and through. And I guess if I don't love this Burnham's mother's character. Okay, Gabrielle Burnham, I think is her name, or Gabrielle. She's not my favorite character on the show. So, and I thought tonight's characterization the best I've seen so far, right? In terms of the use of this character, I thought that the way that the scenes all played out, and I think that the actor's place in this was as good as it's been for this character. But I was like, oh, okay, you're back. Okay, now where do we go from
here? I'm going to say when they brought her back, I go, okay, another long-term character. I'm glad that the episode ended and they parted, because it was good use of her, but we don't need her ongoing right now.
I didn't actually think she would stay. I honestly, when I saw her, I was like, oh, cool, one episode. That's how I thought as soon as I saw her.
It would have been cool if Giorgio and her bumped into each other in the hall, though. That would have been fun. Yeah, fun scene.
Yeah, because this mirror Giorgio's like sinking into this role of this other like sort of maternal figure somewhat to Michael Burnham, but now Michael Burnham's mother, real mother, biological mother, is back in her life after all this time, right? Because she kind of comes in and out through time travel and everything else. and she's joined the Romulan nuns, which I think was an interesting choice for to do with this character after she was a Section 31 agent and a time traveler and all kinds of other things before. So anyway,
what did you think of the Romulan? I don't know what he was. One of the three of the standing at the top of the horseshoe there of the quorum.
Right. So when they got there, they had to, like, Michael Burnham called some kind of special Vulcan Science Academy graduate rights, and so she had to go against this quorum of this guy was the Romulan guy, right? His name, sorry, I got it here. His name was Niraj, and then because this is the new unified planet, then you had this one. Her name was Shira. She was a Vulcan / Romulan. So they're she represented the Vulcan Romulan hybrids. And then there was the guy, and then there was this other guy, Vikir. He was this guy. He represented the full Vulcan sect, and so it was kind of interesting to see this new version of the society. And then we had this other character too, President Tarina, a Vulcan played by Tara Rosling. From Canadian actor from BC. So she was the president of the whole planet. But so I thought all of these were all great. I thought all four of these actors and just how they were kind of depicting who are the people of, sorry, what is it called? Navarre today.
I loved the fact that there were three of them in the quorum, because I've always likened, the Vulcans and the Romulans to being, basically it's like id, ego, super ego, right? And humans are right in between. So now you literally have the representation of id, ego, and super ego in a quorum. And also, I thought it was fun because when they started basically arguing politics, one was on one side, the other was on the other, and then both of them are like, yeah, you person in the middle, you're useless.
Yeah, they don't like her. She's in the middle, but she's also actually in the middle because she's half Vulcan, half Romulan.
Yeah, but it's just reflected. I felt like I really related to that moment when they're like, oh, you never. You're pointless.
I think the line you're in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle and nowhere, something like that.
Yeah. I died. I laughed so hard because I was like, oh, wow. Are they commenting on our actual real world politics right now? Because anyone that's a centrist, people are like, screw you.
Right. And the whole nature of the conflict here was that the Vulcan / Romulans believed that the burn originated on their planet, right?
Yeah.
That's what this was all about?
That's what I understood, yes.
But Michael Burnham was like, no, that's not the case. It started somewhere else, and you're not to blame. And the Vulcans are like, no, yes, we are. We are totally to blame. And the Romulans are like,
you can't change our minds.
You can't change our minds. And the Romulans are like, wait, maybe we're not to blame. I don't know what to make of all this. What is this about?
And you know what? Again, it's the whole dichotomy of what you think would happen. You think the Vulcans would be open to logic and finding out the truth. But it's the Romulan. I want to know. Tell me what's going on here. You stop with your logic.
Yeah, I get. It's been a minute, but what happened 1,000 years ago to make, or in the last 1,000 years, to make the Vulcans distrust the Federation so much? It's also interesting too here in terms of how this timeline has played out compared to the J.J. Abrams universe. Where the planet Vulcan was destroyed. And I know that they're JJ, or what's his name, Alex Kurtzman's been talking about how he's going to unify those movies with this continuity. I don't know how the hell they're going to do that now with how everything's been going.
Wait, they're going to
very different history.
Unify? Seriously?
Well, that's what I've heard. I've heard that Kurtzman wants to somehow bring that continuity or those movies somehow into the fold again, but I don't know.
Aren't they just another universe that's Spock?
They are. It's a divergent timeline. It's an alternate version. That's neither here nor there.
They can X-Men it. They can totally X-Men it. You know how in the comics the young X-Men ended up in the future?
Yes.
Like in the present, sorry. They can
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
you just do like a timeline or a crossover. Totally, it's Star Trek. They can figure out how
Like
to,
they're
whatever they want
stuck
to do.
in current times, so that there's two enterprises with the same crew.
Right.
Right.
Here's my other question for coming out tonight, and this whole thing where the Navarians, the Vulcan Romulans here, they distrust the Federation. Could there be something to that? Should we fully be trusting our friend here, Admiral Vance, and his and the Starfleet crew? Or because
I don't trust any
Discovery's
admiral.
vouching for them. They're saying,
Star
you know,
Trek-
they just
Star Trek teaches you not to trust admirals. Come on.
I
It's
think
true.
there's more, even if it's not Vance, there's stuff that had happened, right? And obviously what they're hinting at is the Federation is not innocent. They've done their share of bad stuff. What we have to find out, I think, is what that is. And then how the crew of the Discovery is going to fix it all.
They said that Vulcan, this planet, Navarre. I'm sorry, I keep saying it's Vulcan. It's Navarre now. Navarre left the Federation a century ago, right? And that there was that before the Federation, before the burn happened, basically dilithium was becoming. Here, we can take our friend here off screen. Basically, dilithium was becoming a scarce resource because the Federation was presumably like dilithium. It's a finite resource even before the burn, and they were kind of spreading it out to the Federation because the Federation they said at peak was 350 planets, right? And so it would be the sort of sharing of resources was leading to scarcity, and but I don't know. Star Trek famously sort of socialist in philosophy and how the Federation's portrayed. So what was this trying to tell us? Was this
Mining is bad. It's a non-renewable resource, so they needed to find green energy, and somehow that led to this. There you go.
Listen, sorry guys, one question. In this timeline, in this 1,000-year gap here, when did the burn happen?
about 120 years ago?
Oh, okay, so it's pretty recent.
Yeah, like depending on what species you are, I suppose, and how long your life is. But yeah, like a book describes it as a long time ago, you know, way before he was born, which is true, you know. So for him, it's a long. It's been a while, but this is a scientific puzzle that they've been trying to solve for a long time, and it just seems like politically, like stuff really stood still for a while. You know, like Earth and Vulcan are not that far apart. You know, even at sort of, you know, you just need some basic travel, but it was they don't even seem to talk to each other. Those two planets. I'm sorry, Navarre. Now I gotta get used to that. Navarre. Sorry, I digress. Where do I want to go next with this episode? We talked about Tilly. We said that was a little forced. I'm trying to figure out where the name Navarre came from.
Yeah, I did wonder. I was like, ooh, I wonder what that means. And what, where they came up with that, or is it just
Okay?
sounds good?
Something. It was previously used for a name of a Vulcan starship in the the show Enterprise: Shadows of Pajem. The Navarre was a term coined by Dorothy Jones, who wrote the Star Trek story fanzine T Negative in the late 60s and 70s. It literally means two form and was an art form practiced on Vulcan in which a subject was examined from two different viewpoints or in terms of having two different aspects of nature.
That's cool. That makes sense.
Comment here from Mike. He's saying, yeah, the mom was a twist, but it felt really forced tonight. I'd agree that she, I don't know, her place here, like, okay, the whole scene, the whole courtroom drama, I really liked it, but I also felt like there was that Michael Burnham's mother is also this Kuat Malat. How long had she been on this planet? How long has she been here? How did she get to be in this position?
She's been there a while, clearly. Like she had to be, you know. And okay, okay, now I want her back because we have to learn more about her. As you're saying that, it's that whole scene, where she's basically dressing Michael down and calling her out and saying, "We just in the hallway, she just said something to me, and I know she's not trustworthy." I just felt that scene was like we all knew. I hope we all knew where that was going, right? Sorry, guys, I got some background noise. I'll just mute for a moment.
It's okay. Yeah, like, well, how did you play that out? Like, what was it to you, Michael? Just in terms of,
Well, I mean, I felt the entire episode, if you want to go there, it is a tool to basically help us understand where Michael is coming from as a character, right? So, I mean, if you want to look at it that way, then having the mother there only served, to further push, I guess, drive out her intentions and what she's feeling and what she's thinking even faster. So I guess in that way, it's forced. But, I mean, then the entire episode's forced because, like, how convenient is it that episode after the last one we just watched had this situation come up where all of this stuff happened to give us answers, right? Like, so that's why I'm personally okay with it because, that writers need to find the tools to get us to where, and then I don't know, it made sense to me.
I guess what I'm struggling with is that it's convenient. Not only is it convenient that she happens to be on this planet at this particular year, and because it's a time they just went through this amazing time travel thing, but she's also a member of this specific sect that it totally makes sense would be involved in this situation. So I guess it's a little bit too convenient for me in some ways, but maybe that's just because I have a little bit of a bias against this character who is not my favorite. So I'm willing to say so. Adam, are you unmuted yet?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like Michael, do you feel like Michael Burnham felt betrayed tonight by her mother and how that's all played out?
I think she did. She definitely did. Yeah, at first, but that became very clear very quickly what she was doing. Look, that whole scene, the courtroom scene, was really well done. Okay, you had all the different kind of characters. The Romulan was my favorite. I was annoyed by the magistrate or whoever was in charge of the Vulcan, strictly Vulcan. Love to know how him. Oh my god, he was just too Vulcan, I guess, for me.
But they totally chose an actor with the right face and acting style to deliver the lines in an annoying, grating manner as possible. He was great. I thought he was
great, but he annoyed me. But that's what
he's like, I'm the chair. I move to dismiss you. I think you're. I read your thing. We think it's boring. He's just total dick.
But I still don't understand why the Vulcans were so reluctant to collaborate here and understand that maybe there was a problem. It's in their logic, and it's like he wanted to accept this burn as their problem.
Well,
and why would they want that burden?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if to them the science says it's their fault, but logically, I guess, then it is their fault, right? And that's their fault that they're over logical.
Yeah, like it was just there's just all this mistrust, and it's a bit of this mystery of like, how did things get so bad here? And we saw a lot of these conversations tonight with the president and Saru, who seemed to kind of get through to her. President Tarina here, and that's why I'm like, well, there's got to be something here to Admiral Vance and the Federation, and something that has made Earth's not a member anymore either, right? So, and again, Vulcan and Earth are not that far apart. So that seems like an intentional choice.
I think eventually this will lead to Saru becoming an admiral.
No.
You think he's so that eventually like Burnham can become the captain?
I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm
Or
just
it will be
saying.
Tilly.
I mean, we don't. Who knows how this Federation's admirals function? Like maybe an admiral can have a ship. I just think like the way Saru's functioning, right? He's technically functioning the way the ideal Federation is, right? What we believe, like, in essence, the Federation is, and he's upholding the ideals of the ideal Federation, going into these situations, and promoting diplomacy, right? And bringing people together. I just think that whatever on Earth happened to the Federation, however it fell apart, those elements eventually are going to come to light, and I think Saru makes sense to be a main leader of this new Federation that will eventually evolve from the Discovery and all their exploits, is what I mean. If it's not admiralship, whatever position, whatever he does, I just think he's going
ambassador. Is that what you think he's meant to do? Be like a political ambassador of some kind?
I just think he has the right, but not just to be an ambassador, but to lead, right? Like it's this mindset, this I guess old-fashioned mindset that he has, that he's brought from the past.
I think he should be like a president.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what the position would be. I just think that this is leading somewhere for him because clearly he knows what he's doing and he's made for this.
He is becoming one of the best Starfleet captains.
Mm-hmm.
In his very short time as captain, like he's a great leader. He's recognizing people. He's not sending them to die, Dave, like we have that other captain we watch every week.
Checking out their butts and send them to die.
Yes. I am so impressed with this leadership rating for this guy. It's so good. And, I listen, I said, I think it was the second episode when he's got that walk with Tilly and, just that, let's get her out of the ship, talk to her, calm her down. Like, that was so great. And now he continues to do this, put the right people in the right place at the right time. And he just keeps doing it. And it's just great leadership. He's letting people step up. He's not taking the stage like another captain we know. It's so great. I love this. I love this character.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Saru is. It's like emerged that of course he's the captain of this ship, and maybe always should have been, or at least maybe as early as last season, really should have been cemented in. But we had Pike here, and it was cool because he was a fun part of the cast for a while. And I like the new dynamics that we're getting here. Just to show them, like, we have this, this emerging crew here, and they're really starting to understand that the show is about, even got like Stamets with his hands in the goo. We got Joanna, last name I don't try to pronounce. We got Detmer. We got this one. What's her name? I don't know. This one, and then we got his name. His name is Reese, right?
No, Reese is the Asian one.
Oh, Reese is the Asian one. No, his name is Bryce. I'm sorry, he's Bryce.
So did you, when they were getting ready to go into Black Alert, and they just look so happy on the bridge to do something,
Yeah, they're like, we're going. I feel like they're always showing off. They're like, great, we're showing off our Black Alert. No, they'd already heard of Black Alert before.
Coordinate set, Captain.
Yeah, and then they put the hands in the goo. Like, that's what Stamets' job is. Apparently, he's
a chief engineer, isn't he?
So, well, it said that on screen once, but come on, what does he do? I never see him solve anything. I never see him fix anything. I think Jet Reno's the real chief engineer. Where's she been, by the way?
2 episodes. She's been in here for 2 episodes now.
But she's on the ship still, right?
Actually, she was only in the 3rd episode when they showed up at the shipyards. Like, she was only just in, looking out the window. We haven't seen her for 3 episodes now.
Yeah, she's been gone for a while.
Do you think she's still there, or do you think she's transferred?
No, I think she's there. I just think the actress probably has other engagements.
Right. They can't. We're only paying you for a couple episodes this year, Jet Reno. You're coming in here. You make fun of Stamets a little bit. That's when that's when I love Stamets, when he's just getting made fun of by Jet Reno, right? And then
But she was only in a couple episodes last year too. Like, she had the one feature one, and then that was, or was it 2 years ago? I can't remember.
I'm saying she's deserving of being promoted to regular.
She should be regular.
She jets around the ship just too fast. We don't see her.
We should. I would demote. We have to demote somebody to recurring. Maybe Georgiou. I think that would be better.
Adira wasn't even here this episode, eh?
No, Adira. We didn't see Culber. There was a few people that were missing. Yeah, he didn't. Culber, I guess, was against this idea of Tilly becoming the first officer because he didn't show up to throw his support in.
Yes,
I think he's got beef with. I think he's got beef with Tilly, and he's like, "I'm not going." He said to Paul, "He's like, I'm not going to that session in engineering where we're going to all tell Tilly she should be the new first officer. Screw you. I'm staying behind." Is that what happened?
Maybe next episode we'll get an episode where a scene where she confronts him, and he's like, "Someone was dying in here.
You weren't at my party, Hugh. Come on."
I wanted to be first officer. Yeah.
We never knew. He was gunning for it. He wanted to get out of sick bay, going into the bridge.
White uniform number 1, huh?
Yeah, she's gonna be the new number 1. I'm happy for Tilly. Honestly, I think she's, even despite the fact that she's like supposed to be the young one in the crew, she doesn't feel younger than any of these people. So she seems more mature in a lot of ways.
But she's got to lose. Like, now she's promoted. They've given her the confidence. So she's got to lose the, can I do this kind of attitude,
We need to see a little bit, we need to see a little bit more like competency maybe, or a little less adorkable qualities out of Tilly, if you will. Her. But I think we're already starting to see that. Like, everything I've seen this season has been good with all of these characters, Tilly included. I think I think that this was a good move for her tonight, although it did feel sort of less important with the bigger implications of everything we were taking in about Vulcans, Romulans, this burn mystery, that the consequences. Burnham's mother's back. We forgot to mention that Tilly was not happy with Michael Burnham at the top of this hour and really gave her a hard time about everything that happened last episode.
And rightly so.
Rightly so. So and I guess and to that point, like, Tilly, she's not just like this bumbling mess that maybe she's been in the past, in my my humble opinion. She was good tonight. I think her take, being serious and having like that background and that backstory with Michael Burnham created some good drama and tension tonight. Yes.
So what's next?
Where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Well, this seems to be like, I feel like this whole season, if it has an arc, is, it's about getting the gang back together, reuniting the Federation, and solving the mystery of the burn. Even if you do solve the mystery of the burn, which I guess is, if it happened again, obviously it's even, things would get even worse, right? So you have to solve it so that it can never happen again. But it's not going to undo.
Sorry.
I'm just saying it's not going to undo what's already happened. It's not,
Well, I think either someone caused it, at which point now we have an enemy or entity to deal with, or you're right. It's moving on to prevent another one, because that is a possible direction where they realize when they find the source, they go to the source, right? And then they go like, oh my God, it's going to happen again, or something, right? But there's also the Georgiou flashing image knife bleeding story arc, right?
Oh, yeah.
We have to solve that. Then there's also what next also is, where is Book going to fit in this new, because he did say at the end of the episode that Burnham felt like home. So does that mean he's joining? Yes or no? Or is he going to book it?
Or is he going to book it out of there? Adam, will he book it out?
No, he's staying.
Do you think he's maybe going to be the new security officer?
Yeah, he could be. Oh yeah, that's a good role, actually. Good choice. But he's got to become. But he's got to become Starfleet first. And do you just get field promotions into Starfleet if you're just not with?
Yeah. Well, when Janeway made all those Maquis Starfleet,
I feel like there's a process. I mean, it's not like they're alone, right? They've got the whole Starfleet, the existing Starfleet. So there must be a way to get him trained up fast. I don't know.
Yeah, they could recruit him. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we saw it earlier in the season. He was in the uniform, right? They had a shot with him because he had to.
Yeah, but that was because they were trying to hide. They
Fool
were
them.
trying to blend in, right? So that was different.
Yeah, that's why. But I think that's almost like a nod ahead because But I also think that do you really book? Are you sure if they offer you the job of security, you want it? Because it's like the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, as we've talked about here in the past at Harry Potter world and at Hogwarts, because every season we get a new security chief on this show, and then every season something happens, they lose their job or they die.
But hey, if they can get him to be part of the crew, now they have a really, really cool transforming shuttle.
Yeah, they do. They have a well. I think that it's kind of like they're kind of like I think the ship is kind of cool, although I think it's it's shape wise. I think it's a little indiscriminate. However, I think that maybe that's going to be more the 1-2 punch of these two ships. Like it's kind of like their secondary ship and Book and whomever. It's almost like their Delta Flyer, if you will, if you to talk to in a Voyager sense. Maybe that's ultimately, and Book will still continue his long career of saving exotic animals around the galaxy. Which
we haven't seen his powers in a while, eh?
Yeah, we haven't seen him do his kumbaya, light powers or make his skull glow thing.
Maybe he can I don't know, make more spores. There you go.
Maybe he's a spore. Maybe he's a spore man. He's a mushroom
spore
man.
generator. There you go.
Here's another question for you: is like the Admiral going to be impressed with him now? Like they've done a lot in their very short time with this guy, with Vance. They can jump across a galaxy. They can go solve a problem. They come back and get something he hasn't got done. I think at some point he has to. I feel there's still mistrust, and not so much from the Discovery crew to him, but the other way around. It's like you're not a part of this time. We're not really sure what to do with you and how to use you, but yeah, you're useful. So we're going to continue to figure out. But I wish, I guess for me, I'd like to see more of a camaraderie there, more of a trust.
I feel like it's coming, but it's gonna be interesting to see how he reacts. Does he embrace this, or is he somehow threatened by Discovery? Are they almost? Are things going a little too easily for them since they've been back? Because they can hop all around to everywhere. They've pretty much kind of brought Earth, Trill, now Navarre, Vulcan, Romulans, sort of all back into the fold, right? Like, and are sort of sowing the seeds of bringing the Federation back together through the effort of trying to solve this mystery. And so, are things going too easy for them?
We're gonna need a Vance somehow ends up on a mission with one or two of them episode. We need one of those.
Yeah, I agree with that. And sorry, did we talk about David Cronenberg not being in this one again? Is he done?
No. Well, I would like to. I think he'll be back this season, but it's interesting that they have. We won't really see him again, I think, until we get this next update and whatever's going on with the Georgiou storm.
I agree. The next time we talk about Georgiou is when we'll see him.
So we have 8, 9, and 10 now. We got 3 more weeks.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I would assume we are only going to see him once more, maybe twice at most. I don't think he probably filmed all his scenes in like 2 days or something. But maybe not. How many times has David Cronenberg been an actor? Like, is this pretty unusual?
It's rare. It's rare.
Yeah, and he's been one of my favorite. His 1 or 2 scenes he had in that episode have been sort of in my mind since they've happened. Like I come back to them all the time. I'm like, I need to see that character again. I need to watch that scene again. And at the time, I didn't know it was David Cronenberg. I don't know him to look, to pass him on the street. So I just thought he was this interesting actor who was playing this mysterious role. And it's made me sort of interested in Georgiou, which was something I really wasn't before. I was like, why is she here? Why did they bring her along to the future? What is she going to do now? So if they can create some kind of a compelling storyline that involves him, I'm ready. I'm excited to see what comes next.
Yeah. I like Michael said it. I think several times, but just that whole that mystique that he's got and that ability to get in your head and pull something out. And we need more of this. We can't finish this line. That storyline just can't end that simply.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they have this information that from the Vulcans and Romulans. What do they do with this information? I guess it's the next breadcrumb in terms of how you solve this mystery of the burn. Where do you think we go from here?
I think I hope the next episode will either be the Giorgio episode, or we'll find them having solved whatever the algorithm, like the computer sorted out the algorithm with the data, and then they're heading to the coordinate, which is what they normally like. This show has been moving along fast, so I can totally imagine like, yep, computer's done, let's go there.
Yeah.
So it will be some planet, probably a Federation member world, if this pattern is going to continue, or a former Federation member world. Adam, any kind of theories on where we could be headed next?
No, I'm. Listen, this series has been great. I mean, you guys called it last week, I think, with where they were going to end up this week, or was it maybe Jaemeel, or that was Jaemeel who sort of gave the.
I think Jaemeel, said he thought it was going to go this way, and he was right. Yeah,
but look, I'm just. I don't want to know. I don't. Through the week, I just want to. I want to enjoy the episode, just like it was. When we didn't binge watch anything, and this is fantastic for that. We've had 7 great weeks of really great TV, and again, I'm looking forward to next week. I can wait my 7 days and get it. I can watch tomorrow again to get what I didn't see, an hour ago. And I'm excited about it. This is the way I kind of enjoy watching a show like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's definitely been a fun ride this season, and I guess what I'm seeing here, the pattern. I feel like they're getting the gang back together. That's kind of where I feel like this is going. So I'm all like, okay, well, I guess are we going to Andoria next, or are we going to go to? Maybe we're going to learn about the Tellarites or the Klingons. The Klingons are yet to really make an appearance this season. So could we see them pop in here now that the Romulans?
And what will they look like?
And what will they look like? Yeah, I thought it was great tonight that that Burnham and Saru didn't really know the Romulans. That was the canonical correct thing to do, because the Romulans are not really reintroduced until Balance of Terror, which didn't happen for 10 more years after the year they come from. So that was pretty cool. It seemed like everybody joined the Federation, right, at some point. So it seems like we could go to Cardassia or something like that. But anyway, no more speculation. Let's get into the ratings and actually quantify this episode.
Before you go, any comments on the Vulcan uniforms or costuming?
The Vulcan uniforms, like they if you can call it a uniform, it was just like this little brooch they wore.
I like the brooch.
I like the brooch too.
Thanks for broaching the subject.
Well, so I guess that it'll be like it's very Romulan-esque in of a look. It looks very much like the icon of the Romulan Star Empire, but it's
sorry. Did he have square shoulders on that? I didn't see. I can't remember now.
Square shoulders?
Yeah, you know how the Romulans had that. Oh yeah, there it is. Very very.
Yeah, but she's Vulcan, right? So
true.
Well, I mean, they've unified, so I mean their fashions could unify too.
Yeah, it seems like their cultures have sort of blended a little bit, especially the reunification happened quite some time ago. So, and then you have a whole bunch of people who are of both heritages, right? So I'm glad that that sort of has a conclusion, although it's clear that there are some cracks in the unification, right? But I thought Michael Burnham's speech of you guys are one, you need each other, and that's what the Federation is, and and so she's kind of setting herself up to be sort of bigger than just like even the science officer or first officer of the Discovery. She's becoming sort of like this very important person in this time period that she's just got to. Let's rate this. Okay, Michael. Wait, are you
Starting with me.
I'm starting with you because that's where I have to know. Will you deviate?
9.01.
9.01. Well, it rounds up to 9.0.
Ah!
Down. There you go.
So that's 9.
So he gave it a 0.01. Adam?
9.5.
9.5. All
Lovely.
right. Jaemeel and Jane, if you're out there, you want to throw a rating, let me know. But I really enjoyed. I gave last week a 10, and this was. I'm going like at least 9.8 or something, pretty close. Like that. I thought that this was a really fun, great episode. Especially Leonard Nimoy's appearance here tonight was a special highlight for me.
For me
too. That the three of us average out at 9.4, which is that's the highest of the season. So this was the best episode, guys, this season so far.
It was. That's why I deviated with the 0.01
points. That pushed it over. So you got to call him like you see him, Michael. So that's how it goes. So. We'll get Jane and Jameel's ratings later. Hopefully that rating will stand true because I think that this episode was exciting. I was excited to get in right under this podcast tonight. There was just so much to sort of absorb. I gotta provide that, and my periodic table, and I'm excited to talk about the next one. This is what you want. This is not how I felt at this time last season. Which was like, oh, I gotta watch next week. That's kind of how I was really struggling in season 2. So
I agree with you on that. Now looking, you're going to compare season 3 to season 2. It really did drag a lot, and they've just improved so much this year. It's like
yeah.
I think it's night and day. I feel like it's a whole new show. It's got a whole new life to it. I think it's. I think that the writers. Are figuring out what does this show need to be like, very much so. Like, what's the rhythm of this show?
Yeah,
like,
there's no worry about this show being canceled next year, man. It's gonna be a season 4 for sure.
It's been renewed. It's happening for sure. It's out there, and so Michael, did you hear anything about when production would start for that, or did you for the next season? You'll all be shot up here in Canada, up here in Toronto. So, presumably, I don't know. Who's to say? So it's I'm excited for it. Whenever it shows up, I guess we'll probably wait a year for that. All right. So I just want to plug our other shows here on Live Long and Podcast, and thank you if you've been here watching along for the hour and or listening to us on our audio versions. We also do on Tuesdays, we do Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatches. We're about halfway through the second season right now. Check that out. We've been watching every episode. We're on a 3.5-year journey to watch that whole series. On Wednesday nights, we do Star Trek the Original Series, and we watch random episodes. Adam, you're on that podcast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We watched what did we watch yesterday? Now I can't even remember. Oh, it was the one where the Immunity Syndrome, and then next week we're doing Who Mourns for Adonais, which was the episode we just did on Star Trek Radio Theater, which is our other podcast. Hey, Star Trek Radio Theater, Michael, you're on that one.
Oh wow, I am.
Well, look, you're starring in this week's production of Second Chances. Yeah, it's happening. Did you know that?
No.
Well, now you know. So
thanks
that's
for
exciting.
telling me.
Yes, well, this is how I like to tell you right here. And you and Kevin are going to be playing the same character, sort of, or the same person. So that's going to be fun. And then we got Mott is in love with both of you. He doesn't know what to do. As Deanna Troi, and then I'm going to be like the transporter chief. So check that out.
That was a great episode. I have fun with that.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. This is a really fun episode of Next Gen. So check that out on Saturday night. This Saturday night, November 28th. And then we're just looking ahead. We already know our season finale for Star Trek Radio Theater for the first season is going to be on December 12th, and we are doing Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. Michael, you're in this one too.
I am. Wow, you gave me a lot of characters.
I gave you all the characters, Michael.
What
So you're
news to me.
Yes, and we're gonna have this is our biggest cast ever. This is our longest production ever. It's gonna be a full 2 hours, obviously, as it's a movie. So check that out December 12th, and also check out our other channel called Trivial Debates, because we got this Sunday. We're having Jaemeel Robinson host a battle royale with Adam. You're in this one. You're gonna be your first appearance on Trivial Debates.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
We got Jody Simpson.
You're the only one I know.
Yeah, we got Chris Seymour. This is going to be. I am excited. I'll be running like the soundboard, and I'll be running the things behind the scenes while the show's happening. I'm excited to see it. We got some exciting questions that came out for that too. I'm trying to remember them. I do have the
questions out. I didn't even see them.
Oh, you haven't seen them? Okay, well you're fine. By the way, Chris and Jody already got their answers in, so. You're gonna get third choice, but you may pick nothing they pick. So it's like, what movie best represents 2020 is the movie category. We have what on the TV category. What movie flop could find success with a TV adaptation? For music, we have what is the best movie score in the last 20 years?
Ooh.
That's going to be a fun one. For history, it says, in honor of Bill and Ted Face the Music, which I guess, Jaemeel is a big fan of. He said, if you could go back in time and bring one person back from the past, which historical figure would be the biggest benefit to society in 2020? That's a tough one. And in sports, we got, what is the most memorable sporting moment in the last 20 years? I think I have my answer on that. I'll tell you off the air, Adam. And then on wild card, who is the true villain of the Wizard of Oz? And he says it's not the Wicked Witch of the West, so that will not be accepted.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. I think it's those flying monkeys though, with the weird things going on. Anyway, so check all that out on Sunday. So thanks, guys, and we'll be back to talk about episode 8 next week here on Live Long and Podcast. On behalf of all of us, you have a great night. Michael, Adam, thanks so much.